Well, thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. This is so much fun. I don't get to do this too often. So I actually wrote a whole speech. I don't know, so Lisa had nothing when she came up. Colin had nothing when he came up. And I've got 5 pages. So guess what? I won't read it. But I will keep it for my own reference, okay? Yeah, so I work at the Arizona Science Center, the most fun job I've ever had in my life. We specialize in engaging, hands-on, fun science. And I lead the team of professional development facilitators, which go out into schools throughout the state of Arizona, all the way up from the Navajo Nation down to Nogales and across to Yuma and into New Mexico. We do lots and lots and lots of PD. It's a team of 5 people. We're extremely busy, and we love what we do. Much of what we're doing right now is helping schools build STEM programming. So we do STEM programs, we do systemic planning with schools that are starting off. We try to get in and help with PD, so we have our own package of professional developments that we offer. We also go in and customize a lot, because as you guys know, coming from the charter system, many schools, every school has its own culture, and many charter schools particularly have their own vision and mission. And so we need to make sure that whatever STEM initiative they decide to go with fits into that mission. Now, if you're familiar with the STEM education movement, it looks very much like, to me anyway, what we used to call thematic teaching back in the day. So if you were with me in the day, I know Lisa was, I was there. I was trained on the themes, right? There were 2 in my day. Dinosaurs, do you remember? And rainforests. And they're still around, right? Every once in a while you run into them. We keep them alive at the Science Center. We do love the dinosaur. But those 2 themes were really big back in the 80s and early 90s. What I took from that experience, I take into STEM today. STEM is the integration of science, technology, engineering, and math. It's the bringing together of these 4 components into a modern, if you will, education system that is very unlike what we had during the time of thematic units, right? We live in a whole different technological age today. I hardly can keep up with it myself. We were just talking at dinner about pagers. Remember the pagers? I used to have the pager, my first job out of college, and I was like, are you kidding me? You're gonna beep me and I gotta go find a phone, like anytime ever, right? And now, if I lose this cell phone or if I don't have it on me, I feel like I'm naked. You know what I mean? And you guys all probably feel the same way. It has changed so drastically. And the students we're working with, that's the world that they live in. It's instant, it's more instant than it's ever been before, and it's going to continue to get intense for us technologically. It just continues to grow and grow and grow. And as educators, we've got to keep up with that. We have to keep up with that pace. STEM is not clearly defined. Has anyone tried to define it? Well, if you go out there and do the research, done it, it is not clearly defined. Nobody has a clear definition. Lots of people have a good definition of it, but no one can agree that that's the definition. And that's because it is a flexible, malleable model that anybody should be able to take and fit in to their mission and vision for their school and their system. And that's what makes it wonderful. So when we go in and work with STEM educators and in a STEM initiative, we really try to make sure that teachers understand that. The first thing teachers say to us is, oh gosh, here we go. You're the STEM guy. Great. I'm already swamped, right? I'm doing 90 minutes of literacy. I've got that 40 minutes of math I got to get in. They're telling me I got to do science. I really don't do science. I like make up on Fridays, I'll do it, you know? I'm like, okay, I hear you, Miss Jones, right? It's that kind of thing. And they say, oh gosh, now I've got to take this STEM. Like all that, I have to do something with that? Like what do you want me to do? So it's about helping them understand that you take what you're already doing, you work smarter, not harder, and you integrate. You integrate like we used to do with thematic units, and you try to pull it all together to make it work for yourself. My learning over these last 4 years as the Vice President at the Science Center for Professional Learning and Development, we have worked very, very closely with Sonoran schools. We've worked with other charters across the state and just a variety of public schools as well. What I've come away with is the one way we can make STEM accessible to all students and help them really learn is through project-based learning or problem-based learning. When you give them a problem or you give them a project and you work with them and they take ownership, they work at it, they work hard on it, you can guide them and support them, and naturally all of the STEM elements will fit together. Best example I have for you, I was asked last night, I had a full day. This week's been crazy for me. Has it been for you? It's a crazy week? I don't know. The stars aligned. It was just nuts. I don't have them too often, but this was a nutty one. So I need a drink after this. I didn't drink before, but I'm going to get something after this with dessert. Last night I was asked last minute to go and judge the Racing the Sun solar go-kart projects, right? And I was like, oh man, are you kidding me? I'm exhausted. Now I got to sit here for 2 hours and listen to high school kids talk about these solar go-karts, right? It was the best example I can give you of STEM coming together, STEM projects. These kids on teams, they work collaboratively on teams. So we're talking about 21st century skills. They really pulled it together here. They had to learn not only, I had one young lady stand up and say, I knew nothing about cars. I had to go and research what cars were made of and how they worked. Another young man said, we were doing great until we had to weld the metal together. None of us knew how to weld. So everything had to come to a halt, and we had to go find an advisor who could help us and teach us how to weld. So we spent a whole weekend welding, learning how to weld, so Monday after school we could go and weld our pieces together so we could make the frame for the car. And then they had to present it, right? As part of the project, they have to come in front of me, right, the grand poobah, and present. And I have to tell them yes or no, and ask them questions and all that, right? And I'm like, I was exhausted. But it was wonderful to watch them synthesize everything together. And I came away last night and I said, this is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow night. This is STEM in reality. These were high school students. Elementary students could do the same thing with a project that's age appropriate, right? Any student can. The teachers were guides. They were facilitators. They paid close attention to what kids needed, and they gave them those skills as they went through. A year-long project, right? Lots and lots of skills needed to happen for them to do this. And they did this after school. So most of these kids are working full-time or working part-time. They're in school full-time. They're playing sports and everything else, and they're doing this. So high levels of motivation, right? Very, very interested in doing this project and doing it on their own. Not all kids have that, but we want to instill that in them. But when we talk about STEM and you think about STEM, think of that story, think of that example, because that's really where it all culminates and comes together. And that is what helps every student succeed, making sure that they're doing things that motivate them, that interest them, and that they can come together and work on, and that you're going to support them. So much, as Colin was saying earlier when he stood up to speak, what kids need from us is not just academics. They need to know that their community loves and supports them. I have been a career educator all my life, and it's because I love children. I like little kids. 13 and 14, you can have them. But I like the little ones, 9 years old and younger. I'll change diapers. I'm good with that. Young. I love children. And if you love children, they know you love them. Would you agree? Yes. They know this. And to love our children, we have to not only show them that, but be patient, show them and model for them what it looks like to care and nurture and be with them throughout their school year, right? That's all part of growing a healthy, happy society. We need to do more of that as educators. And we also, at the same time, need to infuse all the academics where we can and make sure that kids feel supported as they go through school and get their education. So, without further ado, let us have dessert. Thank you, guys.